What is going on, guys? Mobile Carrier News here, and I want to talk about Verizon's LTE, 4G LTE, and basically talk about what the problem I think, what their overall network is. Now, we all know what 4G LTE. It's the next evolution of data speeds. LTE stands for long-term evolution. It's supposed to have better latency and better connectivity through all areas, depending on how much the carriers have improved it. And we're going to talk about Verizon's LTE. And I think Verizon's LTE is very not ready yet. At least that's what I think because I've been using it more recently than 5G. I will use 5G here and there, but I'm just starting to use more LTE. And their LTE is starting to have, well, it's just issues, like very bad issues with them. The service is sometimes slow. It's very congested, overloaded. I don't know if the tower antennas backhaul or equipment is 10 years old or outdated because whenever I use it and try to do anything, whether it be a speed test or anything else in general, it can't really load anything up. Like even outdoors, I'm currently inside. Even outdoors, yes, I could probably load some things up, but the service is just very slow. I do believe they're not done improving LTE, even though all carriers have moved on to 5G. I get that, totally get it. We have to move on to the next generation of speeds and megabytes and all that stuff. I totally get it. Next thing you know, we'll be on 6G soon. We'll be on 6G in probably 10 years. But what I want to refer to is I don't understand why LTE is just not up where they say they are. I do believe they still need to be updating and upgrading LTE because it's just not where we want it to be. LTE is still struggling, in my own personal opinion. Their service is just not up to where I want them to be with LTE. Even though I haven't used my whole data yet. I've only almost used about 30 gigabytes of data, and I'm still getting very weak speeds indoors and outdoors. I forgot to mention that some areas I will get 100 megabytes per second with LTE, but that is depending on where the area is. Could be on the freeway, could be by the beach, by a park. But their LTE seem to me, in my opinion, that they sound like they're struggling or they're not really working that well. Like I said, they could have all towers, all the equipment could be very old, outdated. I'm not sure what they're doing with this. I do believe they need to keep improving. I've also noticed in the coverage map of Verizon that they still have a lot of dead spots. So either they need to maybe increase the range of their current LTE towers to support that range because it's not extended. So or maybe put up new towers, but then again, new towers cost a lot of money, a lot of building, and a lot of equipment to install. So what I think Verizon needs to be doing, they need to be extending their LTE range to support higher range and efficiency and have better latency because their service is just not where it wants to be especially with LTE. Maybe add 20 megahertz of spectrum to the current tower. Maybe replace the equipment. Maybe I'm not sure what else to say about it. Like maybe at 600 megahertz, at 60 megahertz, 80, whatever, all those megahertz. Just, I do believe LTE is not widely talked about, which it's really not. As you can see, I just failed the speed test right there. LTE seems to have been forgotten, and I think that's not a good idea because LTE is basically the backbone of all carriers and all speed results and tests and everything else. And even though they're converting a lot of LTE towers to 5G, I totally get that. I still do believe that if they don't improve the towers of the LTE towers and they just leave the same equipment, they leave the same functionality, they don't upgrade the software of the tower, everything basically stays the same. I do believe that's going to be a problem because they need to increase the overall service of the LTE tower. Because if they install 5G on a certain tower and it's basically still old, outdated, like firmware, or basically it's just not. They're not touching it. They're not improving the service. They're just slapping on 5G and improving that 5G service. I think that's just a major problem. They need to install more equipment, everything else, just increase for LTE because they're shutting down 3G, and hopefully by the shutdown of 3G they improve the LTE towers. But so far, my opinion on LTE, it is just not up where it needs to be. Hopefully in 2 years LTE is improved more, because LTE is what, 10 years old now. They've started doing LTE since 2011, and so far it's been pretty fast with everything else. But prioritization and throttling is just, it's not helping people use LTE to their full capacity. Like I've even heard that what Verizon's doing, they're slowing down customers who haven't even gone over their data limit, and I've experienced that too. So I just think it's kind of ridiculous how I've used 30 gigabytes of data, almost 50, but I still feel like I'm being deprioritized. I still feel like I'm being slowed down. I will reach a tower that I think that maybe has 80 megahertz or 20. I think, honestly don't know. To me it looks like the tower can take up high, um it can take up like high velocity of the tower flexibility, and can basically take up a lot of data. But whenever I do a speed test or try to load something up, it's just super slow. Even when I have full bars or even 3 bars right now, it just doesn't work that well. And this is basically outdoors. So I really think Verizon needs to step up their game. They need to fix everything up and hopefully install more LTE towers, because LTE is literally 10 years old and it's not used to its full capacity. Even though LTE is supposed to have good latency and speed results to come back 4G, because 4G is pretty fast, but it's not as fast as LTE. LTE is supposed to make that a little faster. But that's just my 2 cents on LTE. Let me know what you guys think about this. I really hope Verizon fixes this. Maybe they install more panels. I don't know. I just hope Verizon knows what they're doing, because eventually when 6G comes around, or in a few more years, competition will be more fierce. And if Verizon, it doesn't step to the plate on improving tower service, they're gonna have problems. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.